Hello, welcome to Let's Talk Crown Rules with our host Quentin Ford and myself, Julia Dozier. I am the author of 2 books focused on the health and well-being of relationships within the Black community. My first published book, Crown Rules, One Woman's Journey to the Throne, is an explorative journey into the heart, mind, and soul of a woman. It is designed for the rebuilding of a woman's self-identity, her purpose, and her vision for her future. The book contains journaling exercises for her to document her transformation on her journey to the throne. The second edition will be available in 2021. My current book release, Crown Rules 2, How Black Men Love, is purposed to provide healing and restoration to the relationships we conduct within our race by establishing first and foremost that Black men do love. The book contains interviews held with 10 Black men at different ages and stages of their lives. They share the meaning, perspective, and their experience of love in their own words. Each week, Quentin and I look forward to discussing the book and one of the 13 questions asked of each man. And we invite you, our audience, to share your questions, your thoughts, your experience, and your wisdom as we journey through Black love. So sit back, relax, and let's talk Crown Rules. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, the Periscope, as well as our other streaming avenues. Well, we have a great show planned for tonight. Very interesting show. Me and Julia are very, very excited for tonight's show.
Yeah.
We were all giggles backstage, folks. You guys have no idea. What's up, Julius? It's another Thursday.
It's another Thursday. It's Black History Month, so happy Black History Month, everyone. Quincy, you just celebrated a birthday, so happy return of son.
Oh, you froze on me already.
No, I didn't. Did I?
It was a little break in the action when it came to your voice. But we're glad everybody in the chat to join us tonight. Julia has some giveaways that she has for everybody in the chat. Not for everybody in the chat, for a few lucky people in the chat, few fortunate people in the chat. We also have, we're going to go over question number 11 in Julia's beautiful book, Crown Rules 2, How Black Men Love. Very interesting question. And I think that everybody in the chat, myself, Julia, we all can relate to question 11. It again speaks of a point of transparency, as well as we have a very a piece of advice, a video from one of me and Julia's friends who always attends the Poetry Corner. He has some advice in regards to relationships and marriage, yes. And he has 6 pieces of advice that I think will be pertinent to the topic that we like to discuss. And we want to try to get people in relationships that can always give us advice and always share their point of view on what they think would be good to a successful, healthy relationship. And we all know that relationships are not perfect. But remember, like I always say, it's 2 imperfect people trying to live perfectly together. So we know how that can work out. It's a lot of bumpy roads. So, Jules.
Yes.
Question number 11.
Yes.
Let's get right to the chase with this question. You let some people off the hook with this question.
I let some people off the hook with the question. 11 in the book is, what are you afraid of when you're in a relationship? And I think some of the gentlemen kind of answered that question. The gentleman that didn't answer question 11, or I omitted question 11 from the book, those gentlemen kind of answered that question in previous questions. So I didn't want it to be repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the gentleman who did answer and whose answers do appear in the book kind of cover the landscape in terms of what we might be afraid of when we're in a relationship.
So the ones you let off the hook, you said because it was basically an extensive question, so they would feel you felt like they would be going back to the same answer.
Right, because earlier in the book, one of the questions that we answered, or one of the questions that the gentleman answered was, which love have you had that you remember the and cherish the most, and why? And in some of their answers, they kind of shared, what that experience was, but also what their concerns were about going into another relationship. So wherever that answer was there, I just omitted it for question 11.
Okay. So I always I really wanted one of the answers that you couldn't get up could retrieve because you did a recorded interview. I wanted charmed answer.
I
As soon
know.
as I was studying for the today's show, I said let me go to charm from the door. I need to see how he answered this question. And I was disappointed that the file had got corrupted. I couldn't get the answer. I was like, man, I
It,
really
it
wanted his answer.
Me too. It was a hard lesson learned, through the process, whether I met with the gentleman in person or whether I conducted over the telephone interviews with them. I was recording the conversations. And then to my to my surprise, when I went back to retrieve Charm's recording in order to transcribe it, is when I learned that the remainder of the interview had been cut off.
Okay.
Heartbroken. But it was a lesson learned. But I think that he was one of the gentlemen who didn't really give like short, simple answers to the question. So I feel like he answered, a lot of what we might have been looking for in the questions 11 to 13. But I was heartbroken
so
because
let so let me ask you, for everybody in the chat, the question is, what are you afraid of when you're in a relationship? Even if you're in a relationship or in a marriage already, it's quite all right to answer that question.
yeah.
You might have had some fears going into the relationship that your mate may have helped ease that fear, helped you get through that fear if you told it to him or her. Um, So we want, everyone in the chat. Basically, the way that Julia wants to do this show is, if you participate in the chat, this is how she's going to do the giveaway. So, you could answer the question. You could be honest. You could speak in third person. You could say a friend, asking for a friend. You know how we do nowadays. You could. It doesn't matter how you answer the question. However,
Mhm.
one of one of the
Good
you
evening,
know
Joel.
you know my favorite, one of my
Yes,
favorites,
yes,
Eric.
yes.
Eric answered the question. He said, "Failure. I'm afraid of failure in falling in something that I've committed to 100%. When you find a relationship, failing is just you put a lot of work into it, and it's all gone. You have to start all over, and that's tough. But in starting over, sometimes you realize that what you really wanted was already there, and that's the opportunity to go check and seek it and let it find you rather than." I thought that was interesting because it's like, and your question is interesting, and it caught me off guard because I would think that a person, when they go into a relationship, you don't want to try to go into it with that type of fear or afraid of anything, because it'll allow you not to be your transparent self, and it'll allow you not to give that individual your all.
Absolutely, Quentin. Learn to love starting over. Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
Shakita. That's Shakita. Julia.
Yes. Hi, Shakita. How are you?
Ju-
um, I
So,
was,
so I was saying, like, if you going into a relationship, like Shakita just said, she learned to love starting over. Like, one of the things, me and her, and she's part of the show, and we are close, so I could kind of speak for her. Like when we talk a lot, she's the type of person, um, who when they in a relationship, Like she deads it. When it says over, it's dead. It's dead. It's dead. She ain't holding on, talking about what if and all that is dead. So that's why I can understand why she's saying she loves just to start all over. It's fresh, it's new, it's exciting. Um, let's go out, let's go walk in the park, museum, gifts. I'm just naming all the things that I know that she likes as a woman. So her love is to start all over and not be dealing with the past and the extra stuff.
And
T. Shell said, I'm afraid of exposing my wounds to someone new and the relationship fails. So
absolutely.
that goes back to that the failure thing. Like we put our all into, or we assume to put our all into the new person, and then it's like you just like the last person. Like, you wasted my, like we always talk about, you wasted my time.
But I think to that point, in terms of Shakita loving to start over, there are people who have arrived at a point where they're clear about what they want, they're clear about what they need, they're able to be honest with themselves, they've developed a level of emotional intelligence where they can tap into how they feel about a situation, be honest with it, and be respectful towards another person to kind of like end the situation that's not working for them. But there are also people who've had experiences where either they felt like they gave, one of the things that Eric talked about was being 100% committed and giving time to a situation. There are other people who feel like they were in relationships where they gave 100% of themselves, 100% of their commitment. They gave their time and the relationship failed. And the reason why they or wasn't successful, and the reason why they're afraid to start over is not because of the waste of time. Sometimes it's because they're not certain or they're not sure that they can be successful in a relationship. I was greetings, Lucy.
And
Coleman.
For the people in the chat, Coleman is chapter 8, right? Right.
Coleman is chapter,
Coleman
yeah,
is chapter
Coleman
8.
chapter 8.
He's joining the chat. Thanks, Coleman, for joining the chat. Also, Coleman had came on the show with us one day, and I forget exactly what episode it was on. So, Coleman, we appreciate you. Like I told you before, we appreciated you. You allowed yourself to be interviewed for the book as well, and allowed yourself to come on the show as well. You have another statement from Nicole. I think that what I am most afraid of is going into a relationship, giving my all, and the other person is not giving back the same. Afraid of wasting my time and effort.
Hi, good evening, Nicole. Thank you so much for your comment. I had a conversation with someone very dear and close to me this week, and just tying it back to the book, some of the things that the gentleman talk about is the different fears you have of being in a relationship when you're younger versus when you're older. And I had a conversation with a very dear and close friend this week who's a little older, and they had an opportunity to look at like the pattern or the history of their relationships, and they want to be in another relationship, but they're afraid that they won't know how to be successful. One of the things that they said was, I don't want to bring that pain of the past or any toxicity into the new relationship. And so how do you eliminate that fear? Number one, you got to trust yourself. You learn lessons from that experience. Number two, you have to use your voice. Whatever makes you feel good or whatever doesn't, speak up to that.
Do you think and I know we probably went over this again. Do you think that voice be telling us no, but we as we would say, don't be a stranger to danger, and you'll just still do, you'll just still do it anyway. You be hearing the voice like, I know he ain't no good for me, and I know she ain't no good for me, but I just really like their company. I like their presence. I like their conversation, but I know I shouldn't be going there.
It's not only that, Quentin. It's not only that. It's not only that seeing the signs and the red flags and still deciding to go forward. There will also be situations that will most likely be successful that we won't venture into at all. usually those are the situations that are drama free, that involve someone who's not necessarily our type, where we feel peace and we feel comfortable. It's like, no, this seems too quiet for me. I don't want to be bothered with that.
Yeah, just because you hear it a lot when you conversate with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Most people be like, I knew I shouldn't have dealt with him. Uh, I'm just using this from a female's perspective, from what I hear. I knew I shouldn't have dealt with him. His baby mother crazy. It was a bunch of signs, and I knew drama this, drama that. But I liked him,
So that's, and
and he
that's
and
the
he really
important thing. You
and
have to point
he may
to
have been
what you
sincere.
liked. You have to point to what it is that you liked, because when you get down to it, and that's the conversation that person and I also had, is that when we get down to it, when we look at what we're initially attracted to, the things sometimes that we're initially attracted to are not the things that are going to be sustaining and fulfilling to us in the long term. And so what I shared with her is like, it's important to kind of understand who you are now and what are the things that are important to you, and being able to choose a partner who can satisfy that for you, who wants
Okay.
to satisfy that for you, not because they're trying too hard, but that's because of who they are.
Well, since we have, Helena said those are called in the
In the
meantime.
meantime,
Well,
in
since we have
between time.
since we have Coleman in the chat, what I forget, Coleman mentioned that one of the things that he feared in a relationship was fidelity.
He did, and I actually highlighted his response to read tonight because I thought it was so important. Starting out, he said, "See, the focus here is love. It's not possession. It's not entrapment. It's not ownership. It's love. How you know when you're not in love, or how you know when you don't love a person, when you don't care about the other person's feelings at all, and you have no regard to how that person is feeling. As much as it is important to know when you're in love, it's just as important to know when you're not in love. When you don't know that you're not in love, you spend way too much time trying to keep something that's detrimental to you.
Mm,
When we're in a bad relationship with the person, we know they don't love us, but somehow we convince ourselves that it is better than having nothing or no love at all, or taking the chance to be alone so that we can discover ourselves for the next person, or even just be a better person for ourselves.
mm. That's interesting. That's an interesting point he made.
Absolutely. And that's what it comes down to. Like, if you have a relationship, I believe if you have a relationship that wasn't successful and you're looking to move into the next one, of course you have those fears about whether or not this is some good information. Thank you,
Thank you for making.
Tomiki. Um, if you have a relationship that's not successful, in between the time that relationship ends and you're thinking about encountering someone else, or you want to be in a relationship again, that's exactly the time to kind of do some uncovering of the choices that were made, the
But
times you sacrificed your happiness, and what you really want now, and trust yourself. People don't trust themselves.
but
Trust
let me
yourself to
let
make
me
good
let me let
choices.
me ask you, because this speaks to a lot of people that I believe that we're all at the same age. I would say it's like a 35 to 55 age group of people. Um, and they'll tell you, like, uh, they meet a nice person, they'll be like, I'm not ready to commit. I'm afraid to commit. And they'll tell it, and this is what I mean when we try to force the square into the round peg, the round hole, because they'll say, "Okay, I'm afraid to commit." And they fit all the boxes, but they be like, "Look, I'm afraid to commit," and then the other person will be like, "I want commitment. I want commitment," and their fears have nothing to do with that person, but the person is not understanding to their fears, or not having that compassion. Like, you got to understand, this person may just came out of a marriage that was bad, it got ugly, or a relationship that just got ugly, kids involved, and it's like, okay, they're starting the dating scene again. You're dating, you feeling the person, and then they tell you, oh, I'm digging you. You got everything, but I'm just scared to commit. I'm scared. Most people aren't as transparent as that sometimes, but if they are, it's like the other person, it seems like, will force them to try to commit instead of understanding why they won't.
That's true. That's true. And I think that we need to stop that. I think that we need to stop feeling like because we enjoy time with someone or because, we like the way they look or because we fantasize and envision this future with them, going forward, that means that there needs to be that commitment. I actually believe that when there is love present between two people, that the conversation is not based on the fear of commitment. It becomes a more vulnerable conversation where they talk about what the challenges are and what they'd like to do going forward and how they can support each other in staying together. So if anybody is talking about, or they don't want to commit, believe them when they say that and understand that that's not about, you personally. That's a choice that they're making. On top of that, love conquers all. So if a person really is in love with you, they're not going to take the chance of letting you get away.
I thought this is one of the statements that Nicole put up. I didn't put it up yet, but I thought this was interesting when we talk about um, the chase, so to say. She said it's like the forbidden fruit. When you are told you can't have it and you want more, or maybe it's just the feeling of the chase. And that was in reference to when I was saying you see certain signs, but you still do it. Like you be like, I dig this person, even though I see that it can have some toxicity there, but I really dig this person, and that's
But
interesting because of the chase.
and I think that that's rooted in a problem with our psychology and how we've learned to acquire things. It's almost like if it's not dangerous, we don't want a part of it. And and that's not, I mean, there's almost this idea that if we're in a peaceful relationship, there's not that sexual attraction, there's not passion, there's not that laughter, there's not that enjoyment, and there's not that love. But the question is, if you salute to Grumpy Man, the
Yeah,
question
that's my bro. He good brother, good brother.
is that the gentleman who does the ebooks?
Yes, yes,
Oh, salute.
yes.
Um, if you've never given yourself the opportunity to and enjoy a relationship like that, then how do you know that that will not work? Which was the
Mm.
conversation I was having with the person. The conversation that I was having with the person, who they were choosing was the person that was always exciting and dangerous and didn't want to come home and wanted to be with other women. And part of that is because in her mind, love was having to fight.
Do you think I'm gonna ask you? Do you think that speaks to a chemistry makeup, a chemical makeup that we have? Because if you meet someone and it's too easy to quote unquote conquer, I know for a man sometimes it might be the chase. Like he could be attracted to a female and she throws up all the walls of like no, it's respectfully, and it's like he will still try. He will still try. Not that he's forced himself, or he'll still try. He'll go out his way with giving her compliments, go out his way to do such and such because she's like leading. She's still throwing them little pebbles, so to say, like here's a little bit of crumbs for you, but she throwing up her hands like, no, I'm good. But then on the other hand, if a guy is attracted to a woman and there's no barriers, it's like, oh, I met her. It was too easy. Like it's like a flirting thing. Like for example, you could have a flirtatious relationship with somebody that may go on for a while, but it's never disrespectful. You enjoy it, the person enjoys it, and it's like, when is this guy or this female really gonna shoot their shot? I'm tired of doing all this flirting all the time.
Right. But maybe that's just the nature of the relationship. But to your point, Quentin, I'm going to read that comment in a second. What I found is that as people mature, that idea of I need to break her walls down and I need to win and you know, that's where I get my thrill from, or that's where I get my fire from, or I need to treat him like crap and see if he still keeps coming back. And as you mature, you don't have time for all of that. If you can, you know, really say to someone, listen, I'm interested in you, and they can say, I'm interested in you too. It's like, okay, so what are we going to do? And that's, you know, basically it. All of that extra, I mean, it's part of our chemistry and our biology, right? It goes back to the days when we were hunting and, you know,
Yeah,
had to procreate. But at a
yeah.
certain point, if you see that that's not working with you, why would you spend or invest months of your time in someone who is not expressing the same level of interest in you?
I think I'm telling you, I think it's like a breadcrumb thing because I've seen it. Uh, I may have done it. I don't remember offhand if I've ever done it. If I was ever interested in somebody, and they blatantly told me like, "Nah, I'm good," and I just didn't want to have that reality. I think it's more of like a breadcrumb. Like they throw little breadcrumbs around. The question that Romiki said, and I hope I pronounced the brother's name right. He said, "There's a difference between having a connection and having an attachment.
Absolutely.
Connections are more pleasant, as to where
Yes,
attachments can cause pains in relationship." Profound
absolutely.
statement. Profound statement.
Absolutely. I remember when I was younger and I was dating, but I wasn't kind of clear on, you know, what was really important to me at the time. Sometimes I would go out with people that I really didn't like or wasn't attracted to just so I could have a date.
And you have that. You have, with all due respect to women, and I'm not saying women don't have, men don't have this, but you have
They
women
do
that
too.
are just, yeah, you have women or people, you have people that will say they just a good date. They just good for the arm trophy. Nothing else. He good guy, she a good girl. They just good for the arm trophy. But I have some things in the chat I want to show you.
Sure.
So you could talk about it. And I'm gonna mention this. This is to me, I guess, because I'm the guy on the show. Why do
Sure.
men get mad? Why do men get mad when you flip it to them? Well, T. Lachelle, nobody likes rejection, and I think that a man being rejected is an attack on his ego. And I'm just speaking from experience that I know when I talk to some of my friends how we used to be, where we're at now is, like I said, rejection is an attack on your ego. And if you're not able to check that at a certain time, that rejection turns into anger. As you see in these cases that's going on where these guys is getting rejected by these women and then they get mad and they hitting them. That's craziness, and that's speaking to a level of immaturity that a lot of young men have. And I'm not saying young far as age, I'm talking about young in maturity that a lot of younger men have or older men have, that they're not able to deal and process with that rejection and understand that it's just a rejection. It can't do nothing to you. It's not harming you. It's not creating a big issue. But I have some more, Taylor Shell. If y'all don't mind, just give me a little patience. I mean, Julia, I said T. Lachelle because that answered the question. For a large percentage of women, marriage is like landing a dream job. Then a couple of years later, demanding half ownership in the business that hired you. Family law overwhelmingly favors women.
Absolutely. And so I think that is important. That's a very good statement. And I think that it's important for, you know, that you share that with us, Quantum. Thank you so much. And for women to see that, you know, that impact. I was watching the video again about the young man and the young lady, where the young man was saying that his wife had pressured him into getting married on the basis of her wanting to be like monogamous. And now that they're married, she's not, you know, as sexually stimulated as she used to be because of changes that occurred in her life. And I think that, you know, it's important for us to understand that women want the same things that men want, in a sense, at some point, like the stability, the partnership, the ability to build the relationship. You just got to make sure that it's right and that you're on the same page. Yes, some men do think if relationship is good, it's too easy. It's not exciting and they're bored. Absolutely, Linda.
It's the chase.
Grown folk talk. Absolutely. Um,
Oh, look at what Quantum said.
oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Quantum. Yes. And you're absolutely right. It's good to hear a woman say that. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, the way I pronounce Ramiki's name. Yeah, I definitely don't want to make a mistake, brother.
I wanted to read.
Nicole said something. She said, "I found Kevin's response very interesting. He was more concerned for the other person rather than himself."
Absolutely. And Quentin, I know you have the first edition and the second edition. He appears on page 68. I'm just going to read what he said since Nicole brought it up. Thank you, Nicole.
Oh, yeah.
He said, in a relationship, I try my hardest to avoid having the individual not like me for whatever reason. And as a result of that, I may not be so forthcoming to them with everything. By that, I mean, well, here's a classic example. The woman wearing something she may like. And so she asked me, what do I think? My thought is, okay, let me think about this. How should I answer it? I'm pretty sure all guys go through this because it's a stereotypical situation, but it's a real situation. You don't want to be caught up in a situation where you guys could be ready to go out for that evening, and based on your answer, you can mess up the whole evening. You don't want that. So what he was saying is that he tries to be very careful about what he says. And, you know, I'm going out on a limb here. I don't agree with all of the answers that the gentleman shared. I think here is that, you know, while it's important, I think, to be considerate of another person's feeling, and I think all men have had women ask them that question, how do I look? Like, be friends with your partner.
Say that again.
Be friends with your partner.
As a way of and Julia just mentioned a very interesting point. Be friends with your partner as a way of resetting the show, because I know a lot of people in the chat, and I appreciate you guys in the chat, and we're going to get to the rest of you guys' statements and questions. And definitely, you guys are definitely active, and this is what Julia wanted for this show. This is a show that I'm going to explain why we do that. We're doing a show based off of Julia's book. Julia has her second book on relationships, and I'll play the video in 1 second. And what we're doing is we go over each question each week, and I'll play the video so you guys get an understanding of what we're talking about when we're just talking about relationships in this particular question.
Hello, welcome to Let's Talk Crown Rules with our host Quentin Ford and myself, Julia Dozier. I am the author of 2 books focused on the health and well-being of relationships within the Black community. My first published book, Crown Rules, One Woman's Journey to the Throne, is an explorative journey into the heart, mind, and soul of a woman. It is designed for the rebuilding of a woman's self-identity, her purpose, and her vision for her future. The book contains journaling exercises for her to document her transformation on her journey to the throne. The second edition will be available in 2021. My current book release, Crown Rules 2, How Black Men Love, is purposed to provide healing and restoration to the relationships we conduct within our race by establishing first and foremost that Black men do love. The book contains interviews held with 10 Black men at different ages and stages of their lives. They share the meaning, perspective, and their experience of love in their own words. Each week, Quentin and I look forward to discussing the book and one of the 13 questions asked of each man. And we invite you, our audience, to share your questions, your thoughts, your experience, and your wisdom as we journey through Black love. So sit back, relax, and let's talk Crown Rules. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that to let everybody know why this is episode 13 of our show, but we're going over question 11 in Julia's book. I say it every week, and I say this to reaffirm, to let Julia know that I really appreciate the work that she did with this book. I believe that this book is groundbreaking. I believe that this book is very informative. I believe this book needs to be, if any men have just men only book clubs, I believe this book need to be taught. And this is why me and Julia decided that we wanted to go over this book in a show format, to go each week and discuss it and get involved in the chat and talk about it. And unfortunately, the book is going to be ending, but we're working on some things that we're going to try to do to even cover the book going forward, but not rehashing the same information. Um, just to let you guys know what's going on. So you still have some statements here in the chat, Julia.
The chase is overrated. As you mature, it does become overrated. When it comes to relationship advice, men give women excellent advice because it's based on empirical evidence and truth. Good point. Which is part of the purpose of the book, to get that perspective from men. You know, the reasoning or the thought behind the book is that I felt that women didn't have an opportunity to hear from men firsthand about their thoughts in terms of love, intimacy, and relationships. And the fact that we don't always have exposure to that information, we're conducting relationships from our own point of view. It's good to have a balanced point of view if we want to have successful relationships.
Did you see what Quantum said there? I think this is interesting. And she is a woman. Quantum is a woman, so this is very important that we take her advice, take her statement, and really reflect on why she said this. She said, "Women give women horrible advice because it's based on emotion, envy, jealousy, hormones, magic, and fantasy. Women enjoy sabotaging each other," and I find that to be true. As a man, and it's like, why? Why do we have that? Where did it come from along the line where a woman will literally sabotage their quote unquote sister girl? Like,
I don't know. I've had friendships with women like that. I'm very grateful and blessed to say that my circle of friends now are not that way. That we encourage each other and that we talk about relationship choices based on, like, your whole life. If you look at the path of your life, it's all based on your choices. So why make a choice based on fantasy? Why make a choice based on dreams? Why make a choice based on what other people are doing or what other people say is the thing to do? You have to be able to look at yourself, what you need, where you're trying to go, and what you want for yourself, and make choices based on that. And if you have people that are feeding you negativity and trying to sabotage you, you need a new circle.
and she said, she followed up her statement, says, "Speaking from the experience of my best friend giving me horrible advice," and that's interesting that that person can be her best friend, but give her horrible advice, because some advice, I find that to be true. Like, I won't say my best friends give me horrible advice. I think that a lot of times we go to the wrong people for
You got to go to the
advice.
right person.
Um, so I think
And
that's interesting.
absolutely. And just because, I know that was probably hurtful for Quantum, but just because that's her best friend doesn't mean that her best friend has, number one, the experience, the knowledge, or the wisdom to give her that advice. Sometimes I try to, one of the things you always say, Quentin, that I keep in mind is we want to be a people who seek counsel. And when you're seeking counsel, you don't always go to the person that's most convenient. You go to the person who you see as being successful in the thing you want to be successful in.
Yeah, that's a phrase that one of the elders told me. It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I started saying it again. They told me this about 30 years ago. You want to seek counsel in your affairs. You want to go to people, not to hear what they say, but sometimes to vent. So you want to seek counsel. in all your affairs. Maybe you don't want to tell everybody everything, but you want to seek counsel. Romiki said, has society determined the status quo on what a healthy relationship marriage is? If so, what's the criteria?
Can we play the video now?
Oh, yes. Romiki, I have a video of someone who's very dear to me, good brother. He has sent this video ahead of time on some advice that he gave us as gentlemen. Um, him and his wife actually have known each other since preschool. So I think that this video, and as Julia queued it right up, this video come in perfect.
Hello, this is Brian Donald James. I want to thank Quentin for allowing me to comment on marriage tips, do's and don'ts, I guess, if you will. I've been married about 26 years, and I could share about maybe 6 tips. I think I can concentrate on those. I think the first one is that do not get married if you are a selfish individual. It just doesn't work, you know. I always tell my sons that being a man in a household is not ordering everyone around and you know, being a big boss and all of that. Is the understanding that humbleness, you know, comes first. Everyone and everything in that house comes before you. That includes the dog, the goldfish, and everybody else. And that's how I tried to be as a husband and as a father to them. I tried to put everyone first. So if you're a selfish individual, male or female, you know, it's just not going to work. 2, I never tried to keep up with the Joneses. You know, there was a time where me and my wife, we worked hard and we bought real estate when we were very young. But we had people around us cashing in the real estate rush. I believe it was around 2008 or so, and buying homes that they couldn't afford and taking trips and all of this other stuff. And we just couldn't do it, you know, because I knew that wasn't the best move for my family. And unfortunately, a lot of my friends and family, they did lose, you know, their homes and things in that real estate crash. So you can't keep up with the Joneses. 3, you really have to have a open mind, you know. I'm just returning to writing full time. But I remember me and my wife being in this little 1-bedroom apartment, and we had a little bit of money left, and I was like, no, baby, you know, I'm going to delay assisting the publisher to publish my first book, a little chapbook. And she was like, no. She said, this is your dream. I want you to, you know, to pursue that. And I went ahead and I did that. And I was successful at it. But you know, she's always been very successful. Very supportive of every dream and everything, every goal, you know, that I've had. And you have to do that for your spouse. You learn from your mistakes, you know. We were young homeowners, and we had all this credit, which we quickly ran up, and then we got bad credit and had to dig our way out of that. So it's important to learn from your mistakes, and you know, not to repeat them. And then agree to disagree sometimes. You know, I respect my wife as being an intelligent person, and sometimes we don't agree. You know, that's fine. We can agree to disagree. Sometimes I will still support her even if I don't agree, and hope for the best. You know, and all the crazy schemes that I've had over the years, I suspect that she's definitely done the same, even if she didn't agree. And sometimes you just agree to disagree and leave it alone. No point in arguing and bringing emotion into it and things of that nature. It's negative energy, you know. Oh, last but not least, you know, marriage is a choice. Never forget that. Never forget that your wife makes a choice when she leaves out of the house to come back in the house. You know, and that's for men as well. You know, it is a choice. Never take your spouse for granted. That's major. That really should be number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You know, never ever take your spouse for granted, and you always have to compete. You know, my father-in-law once told me, he was a country man from South Carolina. He said, "Boy, don't stop competing." You know, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. So I hope that if you're considering marriage, or if you're married now, that these things will help you. And you know, every day is a blessing, and it takes work. So I think those will be the points that I will concentrate on. Again, this is Brian Donald James. Thank you.
Yes, Brian gave us some very, very good sound advice, and I appreciate Brian for being very transparent and very open. And when I asked Brian, he said no problem and got me the video as soon as he could. So, Brian, if you're watching, I told you I was going to show this on Thursday. Really appreciate you, brother, and really glad that we met. Quantum Leap, I see what you just put. I appreciate your viewership. As you can see, I do have an email. It's called ltalk5600@gmail.com. I appreciate that you're allowing yourself to watch our show. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can subscribe to the channel. We have all the past videos from me and Julia's show, and some other shows that we do on the channel. They're in the channel. So appreciate you watching from way in New
Yes.
Mexico. And like I said to everybody in the chat, I appreciate you guys. So Julia.
Yes.
So what Brian gave us, how do you feel about his advice?
Well, I just want to read them all over again. First, I reached out to Brian to thank him so much for sharing his heart, his wisdom, and his knowledge with such sincerity. It was amazing. And I've taken notes. And what he said was, do not get married if you're selfish. You have to be humble and be willing to put others first. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Decide what's important for you and your spouse, or you and your family, or you and your partner. He also said, have an open mind. Be willing to support your partners in their dreams, and allow them to do the same for yours. Learn from your mistakes and don't repeat them. Agree to disagree. No negative energy. And then marriage is a choice. I really like that one. Each partner every day makes a decision to
Yeah,
show up.
we saw you in the background when he got to that choice part. You moved in your chair, you popped your hand and everything, you know. And I think that was interesting, because I think that sometimes, for lack of better words, that cold reality of, okay, my baby done walked out the door. There ain't no guarantee that she coming back, and there ain't got to be nothing harmful to her well-being. She's making a choice to come back. He's making a choice to come back. So
Exactly.
sometimes we need to consider that okay, have a good day at work, have a good day at school. See you when you get back.
And also the type of partner that you are. And I think Brian kind of lays out the ground rules. Like you want to create an environment where a person is always making you and your relationship and your covenant a choice. And sometimes we don't think about that, especially, once we get it locked down, it's like it's locked down in his mind. But how you show up on a daily basis contributes to the success of your relationship.
Romiki said, "Thank you. I am for this message and video. Humility has been my latest, greatest teacher now after coming out of a recent relationship. Salutations to you both." We salute. We appreciate you, Ramiki, for your viewership. We appreciate the kind words. I water you, you water me, and we grow together.
We grow together. It's beautiful. Thank you. I thought it was amazing. And I think that if you have all of that, plus love and respect, you be good to go.
Well, Brian definitely gave us the
The
blueprint, as we
blueprint.
like to say. You. I'm gonna ask you a question. This may be a little. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's off top. Do you think, like we always discuss, that we want? Have we talked before? We want to be older. We want to be sitting on the porch in the rocking chair to look at each other and, like you said, watch how we get wrinkled, drink the lemonade. Do you think we're scared of the journey? We're scared of the ups and downs, like how some people be like, I know I'm gonna get into an argument with this guy or this girl sooner or later. How am I gonna react? Like a self-sabotaging type of thing.
Absolutely, Quentin. And you know what? I didn't realize it. Brian, Nicole said you did a great job. I didn't realize it at the time the book was being written, but I realize it now, and especially with this question in terms of what are you afraid of when you're in a relationship, is that if we've had a relationship that wasn't successful, or even if we're in a relationship that is successful, sometimes those doubts or those fears can come up. And the question is, which I really, wanted the gentleman to answer for us, and they did, is how do you respond when those fears arrive? Because they will. They will. Even if you've been in a long-term successful marriage, like Coleman said, and like Brian said, there might be times where you might have determined that this was going to be the path that you take, but then something comes up and you have to take a different path. That's something that people can be afraid of too. Like, am I going to be able to make that shift or that change with you when I've been focused on this? And I think that
It
one of
goes
the
back to
things.
what Helena said. Helena said earlier, excuse me for cutting you off. Helena said earlier, a lot of times we leave a relationship. We were just in a relationship, we started a new relationship, and we never got past that last relationship, and
Exactly.
we're still hurting. Like, I would assume that you don't want to take that back. You're not trying to take the baggage. I don't really think people try to take the baggage. I don't think people really think they are still hurting. I think they just want a new relationship. They want to be happy. So when they
They
go
do.
into it, now they like, then the person they're meeting might be like, you got baggage. And then those defense mechanisms jump up like, how the heck you gonna come talking about I got baggage? Like, who the heck is you to be critiquing me talking about I got baggage? I don't have baggage.
I, Quentin, in this last week, there are 3 terms that I have become like overindulged with and just frustrated. I can't take it anymore. The first one is on Mary Had a Little Lamb. The second one is baggage, and the next one is toxic. And just because you're in a situation where you don't agree with somebody doesn't mean that they're toxic. It means you have different points of view. Now, if they're hurting you or they're causing you harm or anger, upset, whatever, then that's what they're causing you. And if they continue to do that, if that's the way that they just consistently behave, that's toxic. The other thing is that a person is made up of their fears, their insecurities, their own self-judgments, all of those other things. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's baggage. Baggage is when you can't allow yourself to make a different choice based on your past experience. Having a fear in a relationship doesn't mean that's baggage. That means that that's fear. And if you're with someone you respect enough to communicate that fear to, and if they respect you and care for you enough to try to help you in that, then you can get past it. That's not baggage.
It's like Nicole just said, toxic is very misused.
Very
It's it's
misused.
it's funny from I got to give Julia a plug for someone that has a master's degree in psychology. You very rarely hear clinicians even use these words. The layman uses words. The layman will throw um, mental illness, a whole bunch of things on each other or the next person. When a clinician doesn't even use these words, they don't talk like the average person. They sit back and they'll assess if that is in their realm of their job, but they don't. We as lay people, we love, like you said, we love to say toxic. Like Nicole said, it's very misused. Like, why would we use this word? Like that word could be so misconstrued to hurt somebody. Like if somebody said to you, like, Julia, you toxic, huh? Like, what are you talking about? I get up every day. I pay my own bills. I work. I mind my business. I drink my coffee. I drink my tea. I watch The Wire once a year. Leave me alone.
Yes, I do. Yes, I'm watching. I almost finished The Wire, season 5 episode. God, yeah, but it's overutilized, and I think that if someone tells you that repeatedly, I believe that if people, whatever we hear from people consistently is how we're presenting ourselves. So if you hear those terms consistently in terms of your behavior, then it might be something that you want to look at. The same way that we were talking about purpose. If someone is always admiring you, acknowledging you, congratulating you on something that you do, then that's most likely aligned to your purpose. But if you have someone saying to you all the time, you're toxic or you have baggage or all those other things, then maybe you want to look at, well, what are the behaviors? Because behind the behaviors are the fear, the insecurity, the self-judgment, the negative self-talk. And all of that is just based on your experience. And the good thing is that we can heal those things and we can learn different behaviors if we want to.
Yes, yes, yes. So you had some giveaways, Julia?
I did, but I just want to encourage our people in the audience and in the chat to be encouraged. This is what Matt said. He said, I didn't walk into love thinking of any fears. I was fearless regarding it. I wasn't scared about it. I said, if it was here, I'm just going to embrace it. I'm just going to try and enjoy every bit of it. And that's what I ended up doing. If you go in there with fear, you're almost dooming your own self. Don't go in there thinking, I just don't want to F this up. Just let life happen.
Mm.
Just let life
That
happen.
that I was in a situation. But I got to be transparent for that statement
Be
because
transparent, friend.
I was letting life happen, and the individual wanted to me. They wanted to be Sigmund Freud. They wanted to overanalyze every little thing, and at that time, I was just, as they say, live and let live.
Yes.
Um, I'm just trying to live. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to be a decent provider for myself and my family.
Yes.
Like, why do you want to overanalyze every little thing? You give these hypothetical situations. It's like every day I was at class, and it's like, and they kept saying we have a surface relationship, and I'm like, no, we don't. We have a surface relationship. I'm just trying to live every day, like yo, like like the way I view life and relationships is the world is going too fast. I have to slow down. You want to go fast and catch up with the world? That's up to you. But I have to slow down. I have to take my time. I'm very calculated. I move at my own pace, which I understand it's not the same pace for everybody else. But I'm driven. I'm motivated. I'm very highly motivated. You know that just from
Yes.
what we do. Like, and I just felt like, yo, you overwhelming me because you're trying to figure it out. It's like the person who messes the Rubik's Cube up, and then instead of trying to figure it out, they want to take the Rubik's Cube apart. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember what happened when you found out how to take the Rubik's Cube apart to get it back to its normal
And just
way?
put it back.
Yeah,
Cheating.
and just put it back, and then go tell your sister or brother, I did it. That's what I felt. That's what I felt like in that situation. There's
Sure
there's
would.
there's Brian. Brian is joining us for everybody in the chat. The video that we just showed, the brother Brian is here. He said,
Hi,
"Indeed, just because
Brian.
we are grown doesn't mean we stop learning and growing in understanding." Exactly
Amen.
right.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
so like Matt, I get exactly what Matt is coming from. Like, yo, let's just, as we say, and I know people take it the wrong way. Let's just Netflix and chill. Let's drink
Netflix,
some
live in the moment.
coffee. Let's have
Yes.
a nice soda on. You know, if you drink Pepsi, drink a nice
Yes.
Pepsi on ice. Relax. Whatever we do, we do. Whatever wherever it goes, we go. Why everything got to be planned out? Like, bad enough my life is planned out. I go to work. I'm at work from 8 to 5. I drink my coffee at 9:30 at work. I gotta holler at my supervisor by 12 before I take my lunch. Like, bad enough that's planned. Sometimes people just want to just go home and relax. So I definitely get where Matt is saying. It's nothing to be afraid of. You want to live free. You want to be free. You want to give. If you have love in your heart, you want to give your love and have it reciprocated by you giving it to so many other people. It just relax.
Relax. One of my fondest memories of my grandparents is that um my grandfather sat on the ministerial board. And so sometimes after church, he would be tired and would just want to go home, watch a football game, watch a baseball game, relax. But then there would be some Sundays where he would just approach my grandmother and just be like, I want to take you out for ice cream. And he would go, or we would go, and he'd get her ice cream, and she was the happiest woman in the world.
No disrespect to anybody that may ever see this chat. And I gotta say, and this is me speaking from me as Quentin, not just the co-host of the show with Jules. Do not destroy a man's peace of mind. I don't. Let me explain something to you. And I'm not. I'm not trying to do the Ayala. We base everything that we say on the show off of Julia's groundbreaking book. Like I said, but I just want to give a little FYI in there. Yo man, this is for the women. Yo man will give you everything that you want if he's capable of, but don't mess with his peace of mind. When he gets to this element, whether it's sports, whether it's reading, whether it's chilling with the boys, whether he's listening to one of his boys that's going through problems, no matter what it is, whatever hobby he got, fishing, if you don't mess with his peace of mind, he'll take care of you for the rest of your life. That's just a little tidbit.
Everybody take note.
A little extra credit. But I'm telling you, you start messing with that peace of mind, he'll start giving you the look and all types of extra stuff going on. I mean, whatever he got going on, whatever he do to create that space, he could even be into you with creating that space. He might be a guy that like to do a lot of cuddling. Don't push him away when he's trying to cuddle. Because I'm telling you some good advice. He will give you the world if he can.
Yes.
If he can, he'll give you the world as long as you don't mess with his peace of mind. And men know exactly what I'm talking about. And women know too, because women know how to rattle the cage. Every now and then.
And I think on that point, Quentin, for women, I think men, allow your woman to feel secure by being able to trust that you will do what you said you will do, and do it with care. Do it with care. Show her that you love her in everything that you do. Quentin, I have some giveaways.
Okay, I want to know how you're going to do some giveaways on the show. I'm trying to. We talked about this behind the scenes, and I'm trying to figure out how you're going to do it.
Well, I think the easiest way would be to pick one lucky lady and one lucky gentleman from tonight's chat.
Mm-hmm.
First, let me start by saying that I have How Black Men Love t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, 100% cotton, nice durable fabric for men and for women. So I'm giving away one of those. I'm also giving away a signed book if you don't have it. I also partnered with Sessions Candles. She's on Instagram. She is making a scent for How Black Men Love, a scented candle. Can't wait for that to come. So it's a limited supply, so I'll be giving that away. But I also am looking for ladies to interview for Crown Rules 3, How Black Women Love. So I want to offer that opportunity to somebody else too. So who is the second woman in the chat?
From the top to the bottom. From the top?
From the top.
The second woman that ever said anything, right?
Yes, please.
Toy Kelly.
Who was that?
Toy Kelly.
Toy Kelly.
She's a friend of mine. She supports the show. I support her show. Her. She is the woman behind the scenes of a podcast. They do a sports podcast. She lives in Atlanta. Yeah, I'll link you up with her. If she's not in the chat anymore, I'll link you up with Toy.
Okay, so Toy will get How Black Men Love or Crown Rules women's tee, a signed copy of the book, and a How Black Men Love candle.
Wow, Toy, you're doing your numbers. Yeah, Toy's a business owner as well.
Beautiful.
She sells the extra stuff that will enhance a relationship.
Ooh, I can't wait to speak to you.
Toy is good people.
Uh-huh.
She's one of those people that has a great personality. She's been on Let's Talk before.
Yes.
So I'll link you up with Toy if she's not in the chat. She's the second person.
Thank you so much.
She's the second person in the chat.
Congratulations, Toy. And who was the fourth gentleman in the chat?
Fourth gentleman in the chat. One.
I'm making go through some work.
The fourth comment from a gentleman, or the fourth gentleman alone?
I don't know. How does it appear there?
Well, you have the first person made multiple comments. So we're gonna do the fourth person?
What seems fair? Okay, who's the fourth person?
Coming up. The fourth person is Romiki.
Oh, yay! That's awesome.
So Romiki, you have an email address. Let Julia know your email address, or Julia, you can let him know your email address on how you can get the stuff. So what did Romiki win?
Bro, so Romiki won a long sleeve men's tee. I'll just need to get his size. Also a signed book and a How Black Men Love candle.
Yeah, so Romiki and Toy are guest winners of Julia's giveaway. It's funny because Julia thought about this last week, and we were wondering how it was going to work. And I'm glad that you guys in the chat. Romiki's address. Look, I'm gonna put it up for you real quick, Jules, so you to see his email.
And you know I can't see.
Romiki, ROM.
I got it. I'll run the tape back and I'll pull it down. I'll be in touch with you by tomorrow. Congratulations.
Romiki, if you don't mind, where you live at, brother? Yeah, for anybody that participated, we appreciate you guys in the chat tonight. Like I said, Julia decided to do this last week, and she was very, very happy with doing it. You know, one of the things, and I had explained to someone else in the chat, T. Lachelle, she's a very supportive person of the show, as well as Nicole, as well as the regular audience. He lives in Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, okay.
Wow. So glad you can find us, Ramiki. Appreciate that.
Yes.
As I always tell everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Tell people about the channel. This is one of the things that we do on the channel every Thursday. We got other shows. Every show may not be for everybody, but we try to have something that's for somebody, for lack of better words. So, like I was saying, just to give you guys, it's some people in the chat that's very supportive of the show, and you guys are like the brain trust to the channel, so to say. You guys don't realize that a lot of times I will pick you guys for information. T. Lachelle, um, uh, that's how Ramiki knows it because that's where T. Lachelle lives at. Um, Julia, Nicole, King. A lot of you guys are like the brain trust of Let's Talk. It's a bunch of people who I can always thank, and I'm very appreciative of the network that we have built. So a lot of times we don't understand how participating in the chat is for our channel, what it does for us, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to do with the show, how we're trying to grow. We're trying to grow the show to as big as your imagination.
Yes.
If you ask me, I'm going to tell you the same. The show and the channel is only going to grow as big as your imagination. I have super dreams for the show and the channel that you may think that I'm bugging, but that's my dream. That's my dream. So honestly, I appreciate you guys in the chat every week. We do this for you guys as well as ourselves. We get something out of it as well. Um, Being able to sit and have mature adult conversations is paramount, definitely for those of us that like to conversate. So I know that T. Lachelle, not only is Ramiki proud for winning, which he didn't know he was going to win, but I know T. Lachelle is definitely proud that somebody that she invited to a show won on the first time out. So T. Lachelle, like you just you got that character. I told you that the other day when we had our conversation. Appreciate you, appreciate all that you do, appreciate your good vibrations. Always tuning into the show, always promoting the show, always promoting all that we do, and thank you guys, man. Phenomenal, like T. Lachelle said, phenomenal show tonight. It's only gonna get better. As long as we continue to like, share, and subscribe, and bring people in the conversation. Like I said, every show on the channel is not for everybody, but we try to have something for somebody, and it ain't always about the negative of relationships because
Mhm.
it's all a learning experience. We're all on this journey, and until we get to the end of our goal, uh, we're going to continue on our journey of learning. Nicole said she wanted a recount.
Nicole, I know we discussed it before. I have mentioned it briefly, but if you would like to participate, I'd like to interview you for Crown Rules 3. So I'll be in touch.
Yeah, and until Lachelle, find Julia some young ladies that wouldn't mind to be interviewed. Julia, how many you gonna get? 10?
I have to do at least 30 in order to come up with 10. So I'm looking for at least 30 women, similar to the book, age 35 until the age of 85 or older to interview. So if you know anyone who might be interested, just hit me up.
With that, like I
Thank
always
you,
say,
Nicole.
appreciate you guys in the chat. Any final statements or questions, Julia?
Be fearless. Trust yourself. If you want love, get it. You gotta. Okay, who's that?
T.
Tina Shaw.
Lachelle.
Okay, I got you. I got it noted. Let's not forget what Brian shared. Let's not forget what Brian shared with us tonight. We can be successful no matter what happened in our past. Go get your love.
And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, like, share, and subscribe.
Like,
Make sure I always got to continue telling us all
yes.
that because this is how you trigger the algorithm on YouTube as well as Facebook. The more engagements are based off of like, share, subscribes on YouTube and on Facebook. The more you hit the like button, love button, the care button, this is how it promotes the page that's open. So we always want to encourage each other to always like, share, and subscribe. And this is how Facebook as well as YouTube will promote your channel based off of that.
Did
Thank you,
DKB
thank
just
you.
raise her hand to be interviewed?
Yes,
Okay, got it.
yes, yes. So appreciate you guys, and we look forward to joining you guys next Thursday. You
Next Thursday.
guys stay blessed and take care.